Hey folks, welcome everyone. Welcome to another Money Space with me, Kalu Asha. On this space, every week we're talking money, the economy, and of course, personal finance. This week we're talking real estate, so I hope we can talk real estate. I have a guy invited over to talk to us about real estate. Um, it's an interesting asset class, real estate, because it's one class that gives you security and also gives you income. So if you get real estate, if you buy the house appreciates. But if you buy like a commercial property or if you have a rental, of course you earn income. So it's a very, very unique asset class to have in anyone's portfolio. And there are many ways to get exposure to, of course, real estate. You can buy the house or you can buy the paper that signifies you buy the house. The paper would be like a real estate investment trust or even a mutual fund that invests in real estate. So many, many ways for you to get access to that market. And that's what we'll talk about to compare which is better, buying the house or buying the location itself or actually just going straight to the paper. So I'm a market guy, so I can talk about the paper, I can give you the rate of return on dividend yield of maybe a REIT in Nigeria and all that. But I really want to talk to us about the real estate space. He sent me a message having some difficulty logging in, so I have a bit of latent time. So if you can't log in, we're gonna talk something else, guys. I apologize, but we'll see how it goes. So just by way of information, or should we just by way of comparison, I looked at the when let me put it this way: when you buy real estate and you want to compare and you say, should I buy real estate or should I buy stocks or should I buy bonds? I get that question a lot. People say, I have 10 million naira. What should I do? Should I buy land? Should I buy a property and all that? When you want to compare, you're trying to compare the return on your investment. That's the first thing, right? If you want to buy bonds, you want to buy stocks, you want to buy real estate, it has to give you a return. If it's not giving you a return per se, then you really can't compare like for like. So what I mean is you cannot compare a stock paying you a dividend to a piece of land that is not paying you a dividend. Those are two things it's not because one is a stock and one is a dividend, but one is giving you a return and the other one isn't. You have to compare the returns on both so that you can say this has a higher return, hence I want to go for higher returns or I want to go for safety. So the very, very first thing you must do when you want to compare is to ask yourself, is there a stream of income from that asset class? So if I was, say, 40 years old and I got a 50 million naira loan in Nigeria, where should I invest that 50 million naira loan in Nigeria? Remember, if you put it in equities, which is a stock market, you are going to get an appreciation in the investment you put in. So the principal, this is a simple word, the principal might increase, right? You might invest 50 million and it's now worth 60 million because of inflation. But what's the actual return that 50 million is paying you? That's what we're trying to figure out. What's the actual return the 50 million is giving back to you? If you build a house for 50 million naira, the house is worth 50 million. Next year, inflation is worth 60 million. But what is the rental from the house? That's what we want to figure out as well. So we're trying to compare the rental from the house and then the dividend yield from the stocks and even the bond yield from the bonds. We are comparing yield and not the valuation per se of the stock. Many times we make that mistake, especially with real estate. We say if I buy a house worth 50 million, in 10 years it's worth 500 million. So my principal has appreciated. That's fine. But what is the yield? The yield is the real return that you want to be comparing with. Otherwise, it might be a shocker. Better for you to simply put your money in the bank and get the return because, of course, you have no cost of maintenance, you have no cost of paying this to the local government or paying that. All you have to do is invest and get the money. That's the difference between asset class comparisons. You have to compare the return, i.e., the yield it's giving you. So, question for us now. I look at the market and I ask my computer, what's the highest yielding investment in Nigeria? This is the dividend yield. So if I invested 1 naira, which companies in Nigeria would give me the highest return in terms of return? Not the appreciation in the stock price, but the return to me vis-a-vis dividends. Number one was UBA, about 11%. Number two was Access Bank, about 10%. Number three was Zenith Bank, about 9%. So banks, banks, banks. The fourth one was SFS, Real Estate Investment Trust. So a real estate investment trust takes your money like a mutual fund and then invests in properties. So SFS Real Estate Investment Trust is offering me a return of 8.8%, 8.89%. That's the dividend yield it's offering to me, 8.89%. What that means, if I invest 100 naira, I get 8 naira 89 kobo back. That's what it means. This is what you want to use to compare with the stocks and the bonds. So you want to ask yourself, if I buy a federal government bond, what's a federal government bond going to pay me? If you did a federal government savings bond for about 2 years, you're going to get about 11%. So you can see just off the bat, with no risk federal government savings bond compared to real estate investment, I'm making more money in a federal government bond. But the federal government bond is only 2 years, the savings bond only 2 years. After 2 years, what happens? And number two, I really don't have any principal appreciation. I'm not buying anything. I'm buying a house that would appreciate, but in this bond, I'm putting my principal down and I'm getting a rate of return on it. But I want you guys to understand what I'm doing here. You are looking at the yield, and your yield is what you make as a fraction of what you invested. You don't look at the yield automatically. You don't look at the growth of the asset per se. You look at the yield, what you are making from that investment. So I just want to set that stage for us. That when we're talking real estate, we have to stop looking at the asset appreciation itself, but try to look at the return that principal I have invested has returned for me. Which means if you have property today and that rental is giving you less than what the federal government will pay you if you invested in a bond, then quote unquote you are losing money, because you should not get anything less than what the federal government, which is the risk-free rate in Nigeria, is. You see the point? Because the federal government is risk-free, and then you are taking a risk to buy property. But when you buy property, you should get at least what the federal government is going to pay you, because that's the risk-free rate. The property tenant should pay you more than that to make your returns higher. But it's a difficult thing to talk about. So that's why I brought an expert in here, Debo. Known Debo for more than 10 years. I've been a customer, also I consider myself a friend, and I think it's been in that space. It's very, very hard to get put in that space consistently that come and talk to us about real estate. So I brought him in here this week to talk to us about real estate. We have a lot of topics we're going to cover. Debo, if you're here, you want to unmute, hit that unmute button, go ahead and introduce yourself. I've done the little talk on the yields, setting the stage up. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much, Carlo. Thank you very much. And I'm glad to be here. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure. And good day to everyone on this space. I'm sure that we are joining from various parts of the world. So wherever you are, please, good day.
Excellent, David. Who are you? Let's get to know you. Who are you? What do you do? How long have you done it?
Okay, great. So my name is Debo Adijano. Trained as an agric engineer, University of Ilorin, 1994. Should have been 1993, but for us to strike, you don't take. Served in Maiduguri and then started my banking career in 1996. Worked at the bank for 8 years. I was in Equity Bank, which later joined with, got acquired by Intercontinental, and then Intercontinental got swallowed up by Access. So then left for Fortune Bank, was one of the founding members of Fortune Bank, middle management level, and I exited banking in 2004 to set up my real estate entrepreneurship career in 2005. So what led me into real estate was that my last 3 years in the banking sector, I was moved to marketing. My first 5 years was in operations. So real estate was part of the portfolio I was managing. And in order to write credit, you have to do research and all of that. And all of that opened me up to the world of real estate. I got hooked on it, I guess, and I've not recovered since. So I've been into the real estate space since 2005 as an entrepreneur. Started Realty Point Limited with a few investors. We are 11 in number. And we are still together till today. The company, by the grace of God, has been in existence for almost 20 years now. Next year, we'll be celebrating our 20th year in business. And we started from the low budget transactions, and then we moved on across the space. We now do development, proper development as well as the full scale development. We have not left the low budget. We just continue to add to what we do. We are very strong on learning and development in the space as well. We run arguably maybe at the risk of sounding modest, maybe the foremost real estate learning and development initiative in Nigeria called School of Estate and Business. And we also are into investment aggregation in some sense, using very dynamic and innovative instruments to ensure that people can invest in real estate. Our own drive is really to democratize real estate. That is from day one. So our target market usually includes the low end. That is not to say that we don't deal with the high end, but we usually have the low and the middle in our consideration in most of our portfolios. So that's the nutshell. MBA in marketing, and then I've attended LBS 2010 as OMP 14. Done business, and we do business both in Nigeria and in the UK. We've done in Dubai before. We've gotten our fingers burnt with land lessons, but we actively do business in Nigeria and the UK presently. US is something that is interesting to us, but we are still studying that and creating maybe alliances and connections that would enable us to do that, partnerships that would enable us to do that. So that's it.
Well, that's a nice one. You mentioned all those banks, Fortune, that brought back memories in Nigeria. And the Gen Z guys will follow all those banks that we used to have in the past. Interesting. And nearly 20 years in the business. Congratulations, that's a milestone for you in Nigeria. Did you know, Debo, that the average age of a Nigerian startup is 2 years? Did you know that? I saw that data point somewhere. The average age of a Nigerian startup is 2 years.
I don't know it's 2 years, but I know that a lot die within 5 years.
Do you know why it's 2 years, Debo? Do you know why it hovers around 2 years? Do you know why? Because you pay 2 years rent in Nigeria. So when the rents expire, that's when it actually dies. It might die in 6 months, but that 2 years rent expires, the business has to close down formally. So many businesses die in 1 month, 3 months, 7 months. But once that your rent has expired, you take down your signpost and we say, we're out of business. Very interesting. Very interesting.
I agree totally.
All right. Then let's get right into it, right? Lots of folks are listening in with the real estate. What's the overall real estate, opportunity or sense? What's the market doing? If you can take us through Nigeria, what's the market? What's the market looking like now? I mean, we have high interest rates from the Central Bank of Nigeria. We have dollar about 163 something. We have stocks come down. What's the real estate market doing? Is it healthy? Should we be having this space around it? Please go ahead.
Okay, thank you. So the real estate market is quite interesting in Nigeria. It can be very healthy and also can be very problematic. And that's why I encourage people, and I also like what you're doing. People need to get knowledge before they go into any investment, real estate or whichever one. So, but overall, if you're doing plain real estate with knowledge, it's very interesting. And yes, it's still an asset class to really look at, and it's still very, 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 very profitable when it comes to investment, especially when you are still at the appreciation, growth investment stage.
And by that you mean you are very young, you're the young guy that has a lot of debt, very, very low income earning stage of your life.
Exactly. Real estate is still one of the asset class you should invest in, and that is primarily because. So I heard you talk about the treasury bill and all. That's primarily because you then have time for appreciation to really kick in and kick in very well. If you pick the right properties, okay, at their early stage, okay, you have enough time for appreciation to kick in. Take for example, um, there is a property in Abuja that sold for 5 million naira in when Obasanjo was doing privatizing. Is it privatizing? I think when they were selling federal government monetization, I think was what it was called. If I'm correct, you know. So some people bought that particular property for 5 million naira. As our last year, I don't know the value today. As our last year, when I had something to do with that property in October last year, it was going for 150 million.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, it was going for 150 million. But this is it, 2005 and 2023. That's 18 years. I couldn't get what it did all through the years, but I figured looking at the market data that the property would have climbed in terms of appreciation, particularly post-COVID, because property values have in some cases tripled between 2019 and now.
Would you say that is a naira or is it dollar depreciation tripling, or is it like the scarcity of property so the price has gone up? What's driving the appreciation of property in Nigeria?
Okay, majorly, for properties, it reacts to inflation majorly, so it helps to hedge against inflation, and that is what I would say is the major reason for it. Uh, Nothing more than that. It's just the market forces of inflation majorly that has caused it. And if you notice, our inflation has been crazy post-COVID.
So does this pan across all cities in Nigeria? If I had property in Aba or Calabar or Yobe, would it still rise with this high inflation rate, or is it just, yeah, distill that for me?
Okay, so the prominent cities, very pronounced in Lagos, is there in some degree in Abuja and then in Port Harcourt. But you feel this more in Lagos. These are Lagos data. In Lagos, for example, Ogudu recorded the highest, in terms of appreciation in this period. And I think data has it that Ogudu has. So last year alone, data has it that Ogudu did up to 200%.
In 1 year, 200%?
Yes.
Why?
Yes.
Is it because of the bridge? Why Ogudu? Ogudu is at the beside of Jota. It's next to Terminal Bridge. It's sort of like it connects to everywhere.
Yeah, Ogudu connects to everywhere, and then Ogudu, one side of Ogudu, the Ogudu I'm talking about is the built-up area of Ogudu. That's the one that did that much. And that built-up area, we have very nice properties there. GRA, Ogudu GRA is a very prominent place there, and it's like the cream de la cream place, one of the best places on the mainland. And proximity, like you've mentioned, also makes it a very interesting place that people want to stay. Talk about airport, proximity to that. Talk about the island, that's proximity to it. Talk about the mainland, it has proximity because you can get out and get into Ogudu, straight into the heart of mainland or straight on your way to the island. So, and then airport is just a stone throw as it were. So that makes it, and of course, it's built up area, so it's redevelopment that is available there as it were. So that demand is high, more or less. So the forces of inflation, and then of course demand as well, and the
Okay.
scarcity of supply.
So Lagos, we know Lagos is fantastic. Let's file Lagos away. What other cities are there opportunities in Nigeria? If I'm listening in, I'm a Nigerian guy, I want to invest in something, short let. What cities you're looking at? Let's just file Lagos aside.
Okay, so if you're saying short leg particularly, right?
No, just investment in something that can give me, like you said, rental, or if the appreciation will be there, there'll be rental. What are the good opportunities? Where are the Floridas in in Nigeria? That's what I'm trying to figure.
Well, the Florida and Nigeria is Lagos and then Abuja. A bit of Port Harcourt, but because of the political, I would say, turbulence in Port Harcourt, to an extent, it has also retarded the growth in that market. It's been, when Wike was there, it's either that it's facing one challenge or the other, or in quote, is causing one challenge or the other. And then when he's left, Fubara and Wike's challenge, So that's also created the insecurity, the oil bunkering, and also all of that has some effect because a lot of, I think towards sometime between 2019 and 2021, a lot of people migrated from Port Harcourt and relocated due to insecurity and all of that. So I would say that this is how I would classify these cities. Lagos, if you call it a city, okay, Abuja, okay, then you can follow it up with the likes of Port Harcourt, and then you can start taking maybe Akwa Ibom. Okay, Akwa Ibom is also doing relatively well. Reason is that a number of industries moving over there. The landscape is beautiful, and infrastructure-wise, it is top-notch as it were. So it's witnessing a lot of foreign direct investment, especially along the line of manufacturing, production, processing, and stuff like that. So it's causing some activity in the real estate space there. Then you start talking about the likes of the Kano of this world and maybe a bit of Kaduna. So those are the places really that I would say people can look at, but I would still say if you have the option and if you can afford it, maybe you just want to share your investment between Lagos and Abuja.
What about the twin cities? I mean, in the US, they have what they call tri-cities. You have the Ogun State Lagos axis. You have the Nasarawa Abuja axis. You have the Aba Port Harcourt axis. Is there any trend to say if I go to Ogun, the Lagos demand rubs off on me and I'm able to get the same return but in an Ogun State? Same thing with Nasarawa to Abuja. Same thing with Aba to Port Harcourt. Is there any mileage in that conversation?
Yeah, thank you very much. So the settlements in the fringes of town, okay, yes. When you talk about Lagos, for example, if you're talking about the ways of those worlds, the Bakfor, Aripu, Mowe or Father, that axis, yes, it's already enjoying Lagos is rubbing off, but not exactly the same rate. It's just that these are places that where you position yourself rightly based on maybe government activities and stuff and information. It could be the right time now, and so some of the infrastructure coming on board will then help the spike that would result in very appreciable growth in terms of appreciation. Then, so the end, Epe is Lagos, but then there is the Ijebu side that is bordering Epe around that Epe axis. So that also starts to enjoy Lagos. Also, the state government had the foresight to then do a road, almost like, it's not, you can't compare it to Lagos about the express, but then it's good standard road that you can escape to Abeokuta and go through Ekpe and stuff like that. So that also has caused some business and appreciation in that area. Then Badagry, Badagry has a dead end, except you are talking about Kotonu. So Badagry is only enjoying what Lagos can do. But then on that axis of that Badagry, there's Agbara, which is Ogun State as well. So that area also kind of, Lagos is also kind of rubbing off in that axis. Yes, so what you're saying exists. I can imagine that for Aba and Port Harcourt, Abia, because of what is happening, has also started to see some appreciation and some interest in real estate as it were. Abuja, yes, of course, the Yayas of this world, the Marabas, the Suleja on the other side, the Kupwa, Suleja area, and then yes, Dokashi and all of those areas that are fringes of town. Yes, they're enjoying all of this.
All that above. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I remember when I went to Calabar. I think I went to Calabar in August, a long time ago in August. And I know I asked the hotel guy if I could book a room then in August for like December. Because I was going for the carnival. The guy told me from November there is nothing available in Calabar. Not just the hotels. Before there was Airbnb. He was like people will even give their house in Calabar, the residents, and then they'll sort of like maybe move somewhere else off the street because they give the homes off the streets and then they move for that 1 month period of December. So why I'm bringing Calabar up is that is there a correlation between when the state government invests in infrastructure? Again, the example of Akwa Ibom. I went to Akwa Ibom when they had the governor, not the Senate president, the one before, I think it was David, I don't know what his name was, the guy before the current Senate president. I went to Akwa Ibom when the guy was the governor, and I'm not kidding, there was nothing in Akwa Ibom. This Senate, something, I forget his name. This current Senate president, I mean, I don't like the way he has run the Senate, but that guy did wonders in Akwa Ibom. I mean, if you haven't gone to Akwa Ibom, you should go. You'll be amazed. I mean, when I was there, they built this underground drainage. It used to be flooded. Now they build this thing, and it was burger. They build this thing, it rains, you don't see any rain. It's a masterpiece they use the oil money well in that place. So my question is there any correlation you would see between infrastructure and the price of land? Gombe State is the best state in Nigeria, according to the data from doing business in Nigeria, to do business in Nigeria. Gombe has invested a lot in regulations, in laws, but I don't hear anyone say, I'm going to invest a factory in Gombe. But Lagos, you talk about Agbara, the road to Agbara is shambles. But everybody is going to Agbara. What I mean everybody, multinationals, there's Nestle, there is Guinness, they're all there. So what is the role of infrastructure in this? If this infrastructure, does my land price go up? That's my question.
Yes, 100%. When infrastructure comes in, does it impact the prices of properties? 100%. It does. It does. No doubt about that. All across the country, within town, outside of town, interstates, where infrastructure comes on ground, the impact on property is enormous. For example, take the Bejuleki axis, since this project has started, since ITEC started way back how many years ago, starting from where was that? I think around that, if you remember, you probably were still around at the time when it started from around that Mobile in VI, Morocco.
Yeah.
That was where they started this road project, and it's still on the field today, But it continues to impact, and the world of the Senate, the Mobile, and all of that on that road, just down to up to Lekki Phase 1 and then all. And since then it has impacted. I can remember what that did to Lekki Phase 1.
Yeah.
When that road infrastructure started. And till today, it's still what is causing the kind of appreciation that we are witnessing on that axis. Now to so that's it. Then I remember when Lagos Ibadan got improved eventually after a number of attempts, right from Babalaki and Stabilini and then RCC and all of those. But all of that usually causes what Wike is doing now in Abuja, is also starting to tell on prices of properties, equity. I was in Abuja just Thursday and Friday for my program, and I had like about 100 real estate players in the room for our seminar. And rental yield in Nigeria ordinarily is bad. That's the truth. Because rental yield in Nigeria is about 2.53%.
Okay, Deborah, that was my next topic to you to ask you now about it because if I'm an investor, I live in America, I have dollars in America. Dollars in America is paying me today is paying me anywhere from 2% to 5% in America. If I take that dollar out and I convert to naira, I get about one six. So I make some good naira and I invest in property. You are telling me the rental yield is it broken down by say state or let's start with this. Which is better for rental yield? Is it going to be commercial or residential?
Commercial.
Com-
Commercial, no doubt.
what
Commercial, no doubt.
what kind of commercial?
Commercial is not as stable as residential. So you make uh, better rental yield, but then the risk of void is also there. The void is more than usually longer than the residential. Okay.
What does void mean?
Vacancy, the period we experience an empty property, the time between when the tenant leaves and you get another one.
When you say commercial, are you referring to shopping malls, student accommodation, or what is it? Just be clear.
All the components, I just divided real estate into two, that way, residential and commercial. So it includes anything that is commercial. If you talk about retail malls, if you talk about hospitality and all of those, you get more returns with commercial property. But if you now break it down, even within the commercial space, and you say retail mall, hospitality, what other? Maybe I don't know. Those are the factories, warehouses, and all.
My friend does students accommodation.
Okay, well, so with students accommodation, once you have patient capital and you can mitigate the risk of maybe, of course, vandalization with insurance, and then the risk of strike, especially if you are dealing with government institutions, by making sure that you tie your rental to the year. It's not the academic calendar.
Okay.
So, once you can do all of that, the returns are good. It's just that in most cases, the places are saturated.
Okay. But let's go back to your earlier point. So if we go back to your comment even about the rental yield in Nigeria, so on the average, you said it's about 2?
It's about 2.53%. However, that is excluding the luxury area. So luxury area, you could conveniently get 5% in Lagos upwards. But I was amazed to hear that in Abuja, in Maitama, for example, you could more easily get 10%. You can get 10% in Lagos as well, but it's not really going to be that easy. But in Abuja, I understand that you could more easily get 10%, especially in the Maitama area. As in, you can get a property for 900 million and you are able to rent it out for 90 million per annum. However, what people are then using to mitigate or to let me say to put their yield on steroid when it comes to rental yield is shortlets, is service apartments. That's what people are using. And if you get it right in certain places all through the year, you would average out at a very good return. But if you also you don't properly choose your location and all, it could be better that you have either shared apartments or just outright traditional rental other than service apartment.
Because when you say 10%, but let's break that down for people. So if I take 100 million naira and I build a twin duplex, I stay in one, I rent out one 4-bedroom duplex, normal standard Lagos one, in say Surulere. What's the rent in Surulere for that four-bedroom duplex? 4-bedroom, what's the rent in Surulere?
4-bedroom duplex rent in Surulere, maybe as of today, you may be looking at about, depending on where it is and the age, maybe between 5 and 8 million.
So even if we take, so that's the thing. So even if we took that 5 and 8, not even 10 million, which nobody will pay you in Surulere, it's still below 10%. This is the point that the rental yield, when you really drill down, it's not a lot. Because if I take that money,
it's not a lot. At all. I said it's bad. That's why I started.
I hear you. So then you made the point of patient capital, which means this is money that I have that I can afford to invest and wait for, say, 10 years or so is patience capital. If I had patience capital, it means I'm not paying back interest. Maybe I have $10,000. I'm not paying back interest. Does it make a difference? If it's money, if I work in a bank, my bank gave me loan, I built this duplex, it's for 100 million, I stay in one, the other guy pays me 5 million. Does that make a difference? It's 5%.
This is what I tell Nigerians in diaspora. I believe that a lot of them already know this. Anyways, some of them they've experienced it, so they've gotten their figures, so they've learned their lessons. You really don't invest here based strictly on returns. It doesn't make any sense.
Hmm.
It doesn't make any sense.
What do they?
Especially in properties that I know. It doesn't make any sense. Reason is, like you said, if you change your $10,000, you get good money, right? Naira, fine. Then you convert and invest. By the time you want to repatriate your money, and you are converting back to dollar again, you won't be looking for the principal.
So if I have money that I would like to invest in Nigerian real estate, I'm putting it in Nigeria and I'm leaving it in Nigeria.
Exactly. So I tell people the reason why you invest in Nigeria must be beyond just the return. So maybe you're coming back, so as you are trying to build your assets there, or you have a strategy that the money you use to solve Nigerian problem, you want to raise it from Nigeria, and since you have some money now, you get very good Naira. Okay, let me just get a property there, put it on short letter, putting money in the bank. When I need to sort anything in Nigeria, that's how I did it, and I know that I sorted Nigeria. Or there has to be one reason, or you have to do something for your family, maybe for your parents, dead parents, or for your brothers, or whatever. That's it. You see that you're coming back, you're building a business, or you want to be sorting out Nigeria, or you just have to pay back some family members or stuff like that. That's it.
I hear you.
Not just
Okay, but lots of guys want to talk, and I know this is a talk. I want to open the space up. I think my last question was going to be on title, but let's skip that. Let's get the guys in to talk and ask questions so that maybe they have better questions than I. So I'm going to add them. I've got Real Guru NG. Go first, and I'll get Ernest. I'm just going to go down the line. So Real Guru, you got the floor. Debo is here. What's your question? Real Guru. Go ahead, sir. Or he's still getting ready. Let's get Ernest Eze. Ernest Eze. Go ahead. Ernest, what's in your mind? There you guys requesting to speak, but they are not available. Let's get Okoye Taiwo. Okoye Taiwo.
Hello?
Yes,
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Kalu. Really appreciate what you're doing. Really appreciate it, and thank you for making me a speaker on this platform. I heard all that the speaker said, and I will not be. I think I would rather need to I'm an expert. My name is Okoye Chukwemeka Taiwo, the MD of Kentimo Limited, a real estate company in Lagos. So I won't really talk much about what he has said, because I feel he has said a lot. And I believe that there are a lot of speakers who want to talk as well. But what I want to speak about mainly is the place of tech. Because we're looking at opportunities, we're looking at best practices. So what I want to talk about is the place of tech in real estate. And I think that's a place that has not been tapped in. And fortunately, my company, Entimo.co,
All right. Let's okay. I gotta step you there if you don't mind. Yeah. Let me get Oxley Tech. Oxley, go ahead. Oxley, you got the floor.
Okay. Yes, I'm here.
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you for this opportunity. Great exposition by Mr. Debo. So, what I want to sort of answer a question, which is a lot is not being said in real estate. A lot is being said about the income or whatever can be made out of it. But I wanted the Demola to speak to perfection.
To which one?
Perfection of real estate in terms of documents and all of that.
That's titling and all that.
title, yes, that's what I'm talking about. So title, particularly in some places, I know some states where I don't want to mention name because so that people will not pick up people that intend to do negative propaganda or bigotry will not go and pick it up. If I know some states I had found experience, some states where if you have a title, they look at names, they look at your name before they sign. They look at your name before they will sign. If you apply for a governor's consent or you apply for a title, there are some things that goes into it. They look at your name before you sign. So my point is, if you say that real estate is profitable, what about, yes, it might be profitable, but some people at the end of the day get their certificate as bonds because most of these things are connected to.
Oxley, I know where you're going to with this, but I want us to focus on the business side of this, the equations, the one that Debo can answer. Debo can answer anything to do with title or like all that stuff. I get you, right? But I was going to ask him more on titling, like if what's the process, for instance, in Lagos to title property? I was going to ask him, I was going to get him to speak. So try to ask what he can answer. He's just a guy, hustling like you on there. So, yeah, you want to rephrase that? Yeah.
Okay, fine. Not just necessarily a question. So what I would say is, just like you have mentioned, I don't know how much you are aware of River State, Port Harcourt real estate. It's a place where I've played in the past. I've bought property in River State in the past, and unfortunately, at the time, I don't know in terms of what have I made from that property. Not much. So I don't know whether you have experience with River State. I don't know whether you have experience with places like Delta State, because we've talked so much of Lagos. I feel the Lagos market is maxing out. I don't know how people manage to still extract value from Lagos because it's basically saturated. So I don't know the prospects outside of Lagos. River State, Delta State, moving down to Oyo State. People say that Oyo State is profitable in terms of real estate. Maybe you can, if you have experience outside of Lagos, because I know there are some real estate companies that play not just in Lagos. They try to get Lagos buyers to invest outside of Lagos. Yes, people that are residents in Lagos, but they get them to invest maybe in Oyo State or even in the southeast, even when they are residents in Lagos. So I don't know whether there are prospects for those kind of business. Let's talk about anything else aside Lagos.
Oxley, I hear you, but again, people want to hear about how to make money. I don't think most people hear. If Lagos is going to make money, people want to hear about Lagos. Let me put it that way. Yeah. So, Debo, but I think general sentiment is more or less to say, I was going to leave titling till the end so you can come and do titling. Let me just get a few other speakers. Let me get Joshua. Joshua, what's your take?
All right, thank you so much, sir. Mine is just a question to Mr. Debo. I was going to find out because my late dad had a property somewhere around just after Yanoba. The property has been there now. It's about 2 plots of land. There is a little structure on it. It's been there for over 5 years. Nothing is being done. And for us, we don't have the financial progress to be able to execute any, structure on it now. And the time value of money and the property is just wasted out. So I don't know if there's a way we could get joint venture agreement, because each time I have a few of the, real estate guys and companies that I know that I've reached out to, they keep telling me that place is, it's a bit off. Investors are not really interested. So what's your advice for us? Thank you so much.
All right, so I think I would say, you want to DM Debo, and maybe he will have, see if he can DM Debo. Debo, does that work for you? If he can DM you.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay, so when me, Adewuni, I don't, oh my God, I read.
That's fine, it's only more.
I apologize. Okay. I apologize. Yeah, Debo is here. Please go ahead.
Okay, thank you. So I have 4 questions. I'll just run through them line by line.
Debo, get your pen. Okay, yeah.
I'll be glad if we can run through them. So the first is, do you suggest to build or to buy? I'm talking about property in Lagos now. And of course, most of the areas in Lagos that have land right now, talking outskirts, if you get what my meaning. So, but do you suggest in terms of profitability to build or to buy? Second thing is, I've been having conversations around land for farming in places like Oyo and Ogun. Do you think? I mean, I'm pretty worried about insecurity and all the works. But do you think that's profitable? I think it's also good for us as a nation to begin to farm. But what are the long-term, short-term implications of going into all that? Thirdly, what areas do you suggest are best for Airbnb in Lagos at the moment? I'm a bit worried that it might become quite saturated, but your thoughts will be helpful. And the last one, mortgage. Please, does mortgage work? And how can we enter into mortgage for profitability right now in Nigeria? What's working for mortgage? Thank you.
Excellent questions, Debo.
Thank you. So can I go on that?
Yeah, go for it.
To know, are you based outside of Nigeria?
No, I'm here in Lagos.
Okay, great. I just needed that to be able to answer this book. Okay, so number one.
Debo, I shared the questions on so I'm not sure if you can hear me.
Construction. Yes, by all means, explore building because you will be able to save cost and be able to have your taste. But if you don't have competencies around construction,
I'm not sure if it's me, but I think it's cutting off. Can you hear him now?
Yeah, yes, it's cutting off. It's village people that don't want me to get access.
Debo, can you start start from the very top because I know you cut off the first time. I know it was just me. Can you start from the very top? Yeah, the first question is build or buy. Yeah.
Yeah, so I said for build or buy, what I normally counsel people regarding that is depending on what competencies you have. If you have competencies along construction line, by all means explore building because then you'll be able to save costs and you'll be able to have your design, your taste, quality and stuff like that. But if you don't have any, if all you have is just that you have time, you can go to site, you have time. I would say that seriously reconsider that because the things that you count as an advantage in terms of you'll be able to save costs, have what you want and all, you may not eventually get it. Because a lot of gimmicks are played in that, in the contracting or construction of building space, okay? And a lot of people who want to build thinking that they will save money, they end up spending much more than if they had bought. Then when you want to buy, you can easily structure finance, okay, for your purchases. You can use all the available opportunities and structuring finance can be a lot easier, particularly if you select your developer carefully. Okay, so that's what I would say regarding that. Then land for farming, depending on how this farming transaction is structured, or if you're a farmer. So if you're a farmer and somebody is doing farming estate and says, come and buy my land and then you can farm on it, that's fine. But what I hear most of them do is they'll say, we will farm for you, okay? And then you get such proceed. Hey, I read agric engineering. If there is any delicate profession in the world, across the globe, it is farming. And that's why in most developed clients, they put some insurance and they're almost like some guarantee purchases. The government will buy off stocks and all of those things. But in Nigeria, what I've come to realize is that you're not careful with your farming if you don't know what you're doing very well. Even your success will be a problem for you. As in, if you have very good yield, you then have markets, there will be glut in the market, your things won't be able to sell, and so you just run away. And then the other thing is that you can have diseases, you can have a lot of things. Cows can come into your site and all of those, cattle and all. So you want to find out how is it structured, or if you are a farmer, okay? If they are going to farm for you, I would say the risk is too much. Okay, the risk is too much. But if you're a farmer, you're just going to buy from them and then operate your farm. You want to operate your farm. Yeah, fine, fantastic. Since you understand what you're going to be doing, you're going to be doing your own stuff directly. That should work a lot better. Because a lot of these family estates have come and they've packed them. That's what I'm saying. Because you run into some of these challenges that are very hard. A lot of times they really can't get to deliver what they promise the people. Then,
Deborah, real quick. So for her now, she's asking, is it actually an investment worth considering to buy the land and lease out to a farmer, or should she buy the land and farm on her own? If I maybe ask that on her behalf, what is the trend there?
Yes, so what I've said is that it's better if she wants to farm on her own than to be buying it and leasing out to farmer. The return on that is not, like I said, I mean, residential real estate yield is not even much. We talked about the return. Now, talk less of farming. Farming is poorer in terms of yield.
Wow.
If you're renting out your land.
Wow.
Yeah, you just use it. So the strategy, when people give their land to farmers in Nigeria majorly, it's a strategy to just secure the land, to ensure that they're in possession.
No encroachment. Okay. Okay. All right.
It's not really, so you won't get much there. But if you want to buy the land, maybe you look at the future and you think that speculatively this place would really be something in the future, and you want to use farming as a security or a possession strategy.
Placeholder. Yeah. And again, just a general point. If someone comes to you and says, "I want you to invest in my farm, and I'm going to give you a guaranteed rate of return," you are no longer investing in a farm. You are investing in a bond. No longer a farm. Not just in a farm. Anybody that promises you a fixed rate of return to do farming or to do crypto or to do property is no longer that. Is a fixed rate of return. So what you want to do is you want to compare that return with the risk-free rate, which is the rate that you would get if you bought a federal government savings bond. If the federal government savings bond is paying you more, you don't invest in that other venture. Because once it's a promise, it's a bond. It's no longer an investment of profit and loss. The promise makes it a bond. So it has to have a higher return, higher than the federal government bond. Just putting that out there. So then the third question I think she asked was, let me see.
Okay. Yes, on mortgage. But before I go into that, let me even write on what you just said. Beyond just that the return should be higher than whatever. Even when it's higher, fine, it should be higher. If it is a private bond that is not regulated, the risk is a lot higher, and you want to really be careful. Because I can promise you heaven and earth, but you have access to my books. Do you know how I'm going to be able to make it? When you give me that money, default rate is huge. In fact, a number of people are just now doing Ponzi. So the only way they're able to pay last year's bondholders' return this year is because there are fresh people coming in to take those offers. So you want to be really careful and know that you are taking a huge risk.
All right.
And the money may not come back. So that's it. The mortgage.
No, before that, she asked what area for Airbnb. She wants to do Airbnb, the best location in Lagos.
Okay. Yeah. So Airbnb in Lagos, right? VI, that goes without saying. Lekki Phase 1, maybe up to Ikate. These are places that you are sure of, okay? Then, of course, Oniru is inclusive. Parkview is inclusive. Ikoyi is inclusive. Banana Island inclusive. A little bit of that is happening in the Atlantic even now, okay? And with the few residential structures already there. So that is that on the island. By the time you start to go to VGC area, LBS area, Shangoto, it becomes very dicey. Except you are operating the kind of Airbnb that allows for parties, that allows for artists to come and use the place to movies, and all of that, settings and all, movie sets and all of those things. So it becomes very dicey, okay? But if you're close to some, let's say, hospitality facilities around there, maybe very good beaches, or it can help. But the areas that you can be sure of on the island, those are the ones I've mentioned. Then come to the mainland, Ikeja GRA, the likes of Shonibare Estate, Magodo, Omoli Estate is also not bad. Okay, these are areas that you can.
Deborah, I was in a good a while back. It's filled now with it's filled with Airbnbs. No, that was a very very high end residential place. They demolished the homes and built 3 bedrooms and yeah.
Yes, Ogudu. Actually, I just left that escape my mind. Ogudu, yes. Ogudu Suru area as well. Some parts of Suru area.
Yaba on the bridge.
Yes. Yaba, Ibutemeta. Fantastic, you know. So those are the areas.
Okay. Then our last question was on the mortgage. And I need, yeah, go ahead, mortgage.
Okay, so on mortgage, you want to explore, if you're employed, whether you're even self-employed, you want to explore a combination, or you want to talk to brokers that can give you a combination. So maybe help you use your NHS, ensure that they can help you get your 25% of your RSA, that's your retirement savings, okay? Because other than then maybe they can key into an MRC refinance, okay? Because ordinarily, the commercial mortgages are available, or even for mortgage banks, right now the rates are high, very, very high. So you want to do an hybrid. I think they're over around 25% upwards right now as we speak. So you can imagine what sort of mortgage that is. Okay, but I'm also aware of some REITs that also does, you can almost say pseudo mortgage, okay? It's a REIT, but what they give out is mortgage as it were to buy properties. And they pride themselves to be giving very good interest. I think they can do like 15%. That also exists. You can private chat me if you want to explore that. They also have facilities to be able to do 50-50 with you. That is co-ownership. They buy into the property 50%, you buy into 50% if you can't buy it all. Okay, and then in 10 years they have to exist. So either you buy them back, buy them out, or they will sell the property and then you guys share 50-50. So that's what you get when it comes to mortgage. But it's still very much possible depending on what you're earning, okay, and how old you are. All of that would affect.
Yeah, and let me just also make this point again in terms of mortgages, bro. So the actual fact is that there are no mortgages in Nigeria, like how we look at traditional long-term savings for homes. We don't have mortgage in Nigeria. What we have are loans to buy houses. It's a different thing entirely. So to buy a house in Nigeria, if you go to the UK or the US to buy a house, you are buying it maybe off plan, or you are buying an existing home or a new development. There's a process. You get a credit scoring, then you get a 30-year fixed or adjustable rate mortgage. Your income is there. You own the home. It's in your name. There's title given to you, which you can sell and make equity. We don't have that in Nigeria. So in Nigeria, you have to buy the land, then you have to develop the land. So those are two. In Nigeria, we separate both of them. Most people will buy the land with their own funds, then go out and get a loan to perhaps do the finishing when it's about to rent out. But you're going to have to use your own funds to develop that land. Why? Because it takes time. It has to be patient capital. Unless you're doing like people say the commercial Airbnb in Lekki phase 1, where you can borrow money from a bank for 2 years, build it, rent out, and make your returns back from rental. If you are building your own personal home, the way we do it in Lagos, is that you buy the land, and over years you put foundation, then you put one wall, then you roof it. They pay you upfront. You buy door. They pay you upfront. You buy bathrooms, like that, till you get to the stage where the home is like ready to be should we say commissioned. Then you can then take a short-term loan, or maybe of a year, paint the house, buy the fittings, and move in or rent out. But you must be aware that now we have like Debo said, 25% of your retirement savings account can be used towards a mortgage. So the PFA would pay the mortgage guy. So put that one, I think is more sure than even the NHF. I applied for NHF since 2003. I have file number. I don't have the money yet. So I know that I know people get it faster, but I'm not been chasing it. But I'm just giving you the facts. I've said it many times. So RSA, very, very important. your own company would have a loan scheme that usually is cheaper than the commercial banks. So go to your company, go to your RSA, go to your cooperative, go to family and friends before you borrow money to buy a house. And again, in Nigeria today, if you are building single family home, you're on a long thing, no, Debo will tell you, you're on a long thing. You must build a home. Even if they'll pay you 100K a year, at least you pay DSTV with that money. You have to build at least something you can rent out. When I say in-law, BQ, or something you can monetize that place is very, very important. And last one, Debo, you are my witness. Again, I went to this estate. You go to Ikoyi GRA, you go to VI, you go to Ogudu, you see massive 7-bedroom homes built by folks that have now retired and their kids have gone to America. Those homes are empty. So it's a pointer that Nigeria, we don't do this. You retire and you move to Florida. You buy a home, you live in your home, even when you're retired. Lots of dead capital in this big city that a single family living there, 7 bedrooms. So think of the future. If you have 5 kids, those kids are not going to come and live with you when they get bigger. They're going to have their own lives. So think of your plan B. This home is for, I'm building this home for now. And when I retire, I'm going to move to this place in Lagos. Why live in VI and Ikoyi is very expensive. There's the Korodu, there's Badagi, but if we think like that, it might make rents come down. There's no point living in VI if you're not working. It's too expensive. I mean, just to get your land use, the shops and all that. But if you live in Ikorodu or Badagry or Ogun or Mowe, it's way cheaper for you, right? So maybe we need to take it like that. But when I know if you got your answer, you're good.
Yes, I'm good, and thank you so much. It was quite detailed. And a lot of question I just have is about the Airbnb. I know that there are rules around subletting apartments. So if you have an apartment in a building and you want to do Airbnb, are there legal, implications, or does it have to be your own full property from top to bottom?
Okay, you said, sorry, can you come again?
All right, so I was asking that I know there are rules around subletting apartments. So if you have an apartment in a building and you want to do an Airbnb thing, are there legal implications, or do you have to own the whole property from top to bottom?
Okay, so it depends. If you are the owner of the property, even if it is one apartment in a block of flats, it's yours. If you are the one that has the title to the lease, so you can actually use it for whatever, except there is any rule in that environment, maybe in that compound or in that environment that says that Airbnbs are not allowed. So if there is any restriction there, you may not be able to do that. But if you are renting a property to do Airbnb, you would have found out first before doing that whether it is something that is allowable. Most landlords would frown at giving you their properties for you to do short-let or service apartment with. But there are ways people go about that in the presentation. So they rent as corporate tenants, as it were, to be able to beat that whatever. But then you also expected to ensure that you do good job of managing the property very well. So that exists. But just a rider with what Carlos said on mortgage is that now, in Nigeria, there are developers who build and they work with mortgage banks. I understand and I totally agree with the fact that due to our rate and process, we can't really call what we have mortgage. But there are built properties that you can borrow money to buy rather than just building your own. So that's another option as well. And you can also use that. That's why I said hybrid. So you can, because you need to raise, if the property is 100 million, you might have raised maybe 20, 30, 40 through all of these other means, and then just borrow the remaining as a mortgage, our own mortgage as it were.
Gotcha, Debo. Yeah. Gotcha. Don't forget, while I'm still going to come out to the title, I just want to go to the guys time to speak. So I've got Omotayo. Waymo, thanks so much. Omotayo, you've got the floor.
Thank you.
Omotayo, then Pilgrim. Omotayo, then Pilgrim. Omotayo going once, Omotayo going twice, Omotayo. Hey, Pilgrim, you got
All right, so
Omotayo, hi, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead, Omotayo.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Yeah, it's a nice space you got here, and I love to actually listen to interesting topics as this, especially at this time in the country. So, however, I recall you started by talking about bond as against real estate, or maybe you're just trying to weigh the options.
I was
So,
talking about I was asking folks that when you buy property, don't confuse the appreciation in the value to the dividend yield. You have to compare dividend yield of the property to the dividend or coupon yield of the bond, and then there's the dividend yield of the stock. So yield to yield, not value to yield. That's the point I was making.
okay, so I get your point actually, but what in my own way, I believe let's look at this time frame. You own, let's say, 10 million naira now, and okay, you have option to buy real estate and or buy bonds. But what you get from your bonds most of the time at the end of the day is just your yield, your dividends. And in real estate, you bank to actually have both. As okay, I could recall what Mr. Gable said the other time, where he said he was talking about properties some people bought in 2005 for 5 million, and today 150 million. So if you're looking at yield, I think it will only be applicable. Let's say you have access to huge funds that is maybe not yours, and okay, those have access to it, and you're maybe meant to make good profits for a time, for a period of time, and to just get rent. But if you're looking at returns, like value, wealth appreciation, so to say, I still feel real estate, of course, is the best
No,
bet.
no, you're making the same. You're making the same. That's it's because of your comment. That's why I made sure I made that clarification at the very beginning. If you are an investor, you are looking at yield return. The asset appreciation is not the same as the yield. Remember that if the property is worth 100 million, you have to have had the 100 million to invest in the same place. So there's going to be an opportunity cost. That if you had left that money in the bank, it would have still yielded the money. So why take the money from the bank that's going to pay you 11% and buy property that will pay you 2% because you say the value of the property would appreciate? What are you making? In the end, you invest to make money, right? So your return on investment, your return on assets are still going to be lower. I'm not debating that the property by inflation will not go up in price, but you must compare like for like. So if we both have 1 million and you build property and you get rental of 100,000, that's 10%. If I buy a federal government bond with my 1 million, I'm getting 15%, 20%. So over a 20 years period, I still make more than you.
So are you saying you get to have opportunities from bank? Because with the same million naira over 10 years period, what you've gotten in the dividends is the yield.
Of course.
So it's the yield.
Yeah,
So
your yield is your rental yield. You can't look at the value of the property. You have to look at the rental yield. That's the point I'm making. You are comparing the value of the property to my dividend yield, which is wrong. You have to compare your rental yield to my coupon yield or my dividend yield. See the point I'm making, sir? You can,
I get it.
yeah, I'm not debating if the property will not rise 200%. But what's the yield from that 200%? If the property is now 200 million and the rent is still 1 million, it's nothing.
I get the point. So I get it.
All right, sir.
So also, I just want to buttress on some points for people who are willing to want to try. So from experience, I've seen some clients, some people go into sublet. I'm talking about it, especially for the lady that actually maybe wants to get into sublets actually. So their houses, the rates are switched up. We have vacant houses, especially in Lake here. is actually overwhelming, and at the same time, we have high cost of rents. So we have people having difficulty coping with them, especially with the situation in the country. So here is an opportunity that I've seen some clients explore at the end of the day. So let's say you have 5 million or 10 million naira you want to do something with in real estate. So what you get to do is um you can rent a duplex, just like the one you made mention about vacant these days, and just there and people are not we have a lot of them around. So of course you have to be in agreement with the landlord. So you can rent it, and renting it you can sublet. You can make it into one bedroom, you can make it into 2 bedrooms, you can that's on the landlord permission actually. So you get you can create studio apartments, you can create different opportunities for people to
All right.
come and rent.
All right, I got you. Good point. Let me get Pilgrim. So I got Pilgrim and then Shetty. One more time. Thanks a lot. Pilgrim, go for it. Then Pilgrim and Shetty. Yeah.
Good evening, elder brother Carol. Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Motayo, for excellent introduction. An amazing resume, I must say. I've got a question for you. My name is Chika Okeke. I reside here in the UK with, of course, interest and investment in real estate in Nigeria. And my question is for Mr. Debo, going from my own experience. I've always invested in real estate in Nigeria, and it's been all well relatively until the tail end of the Buhari administration with the bit of the dollar pound messing up, and then ultimately fingers completely burnt in the last 1 year, I would say. And my question would be, what is first? Two questions, and first one would be, in terms of the devaluation, Debo, I've got an experience where properties that I've purchased things in 2019, 2022, and for £1,100 to dollar, and then they've appreciated. But today, when you look at the value, you want to bring back money here is worthless. I've got property in Abuja that as of 2019 was returning back here to the UK for me £6,000 at the exchange rate of about 450. That property at 2.1 million rentage as of 2019, 2020. Even with a 50% on risk, I was advised by the agency, I didn't want to, but what can you do with inflation? Even at an extra 1 million, which means property is being rented at 3 million for 2.5, 2.6 for some people. The return has now gone down from about £6,000 coming back in 2019 to a paltry £1,800, £2,000 today. I repeat, from £6,000 in 2019 at 2 million to about £2,000 being returned now at about 2.5, 2.6 million rent. So it's horrible, it's terrible. And now I have properties that, not just me, other people here in the UK, and of course friends that live here that I know. I have a property that was purchased 2021, 2022. Today, it's unbearable to even imagine the cost to bring it if you want to take back that money. Because definitely we changed pounds to purchase those property. And my question to you, I had when you were talking about the issue of we investing just because of family members. But how do I put in 200 million and above just for family members to maintain them? It's easy for me to send them £500 to pay school fees of people, £1,000 but investment in real estate.
So, Pilgrim, I want you to ask. Go to the question so you can close the folks. Yes, go to the question.
What is the way? What do you advise the diaspora with the issue of this devaluation? Have we come to the end, or are we still at the position where £100,000 comes in, and then today at 2,200 to a pound, and after 2 months it goes back again to 2,500. Can you tell us, the diaspora, what is the way forward? Should we be investing at the moment? Should we be buying at the moment? Otherwise, tell us, what is the way forward? Beyond investing for family members, what is the way forward? Where should we put our money? The second question I've got is on the Airbnb. And my question for you, please, if you have got an experience, what also is the future? Today, Airbnb, from my own also personal experience, the cost of hosting has highly skyrocketed with the cost of the electricity tariffs that they've put in now, the petrol, and whatsoever. It's nearly coming at par with even hotels and what have you. Competitiveness is now a problem. So again, what is the future of Airbnb today with respect to the hyperinflation, petrol, and the essential things
I think it's got it.
Yeah.
Deborah, you want to take that real quick? It's asking, how do you do this? I think it's going back to your talk about diaspora investing in Nigerian real estate. What's the best practice around it? Do you have any tips for him? And also with the Airbnb, things. Petrol. I have a guy that has an Airbnb. He tells me petrol takes everything. Diesel just takes the whole profit he makes. So, Deborah, you want to take on that? Yeah, Deborah, you said yourself, you can hear me. Get on mute. Deborah, you got to hit the unmute.
Oh, sorry. Okay, sorry. Okay, Chika, are you planning to come back to Nigeria?
Never. Just to put in money there, that's all.
Okay, then I don't think you should be putting money, except for social reasons that I mentioned earlier. So you probably should just know that, well, sorry, I've invested all of this, maybe that's all I will do. I focus your investment in other places for now. It's until we get to a point that maybe Naira can be a bit more stable again. And you can then look at the situation versus and take an investment decision when you appraise what scenario you are facing. Okay? That is the honest truth. And that's what I started by saying, that it doesn't make any sense for a Nigerian diaspora to be investing in Nigeria other than for social reasons beyond yield and returns. That's the truth where we are right now. Okay? On the short legs, I also don't know which location. So it is the high-end short legs that will survive the cost challenge we are having right now, the cost of running, operating costs that we are having right now. Okay, the high end, where prices can still be moved up and people have reasons why they are taking it. And that's why you may want to be looking at converting your short-let apartment to shared apartment. Shared apartment was what I mentioned earlier, and I think that was what Omotayo was also talking about when he mentioned, your 3-bedroom, you can structure it in a way that even the sitting room can be converted to a room, depending on if you can do that with the landlord, or if you own the property, you can do that. And you rent the O3 or the O4 rooms out, and you have a common kitchen, just like what they do HMOs in the UK, stuff like that. That's what you may have to do at the moment. That will still give you higher yield, net position as to the short leg. And as you know, in a kind of environment, once you start a line of business that people think is becoming more and more profitable, there are a lot of loose and free money, that people bring out to then, invest in those things until they saturate the market, and it then becomes challenging for people to start making reasonable returns. So you want to reconsider your holding in short-let apartment depending on the location, and you probably want to check whether you can switch to shared apartment for now, and maybe when things stabilize later, you may come back to short-let. That's what I would have in summary.
Thank you.
So you're saying the location of the Airbnb matters, i.e., if it's in a high end, then the rental they charge can sort of relate those higher costs. Otherwise, move on. Don't get it. And also, don't invest if you're not. Why do you say you shouldn't invest if it's not coming back? Is there a particular reason?
No, that's what I'm saying, because it won't make sense. If you're not coming back, if you don't have a family here that you are buying the property for, you don't have the situations here that usually needs your attention, and you feel that your strategy is solving that, to just have an investment in Nigeria that will be taking care of that, there's no point.
I hear you. All right, good one. So let's get Shady, then we'll get Buddy. Shady and then Buddy. Shady, go ahead.
Okay, good day, everyone. Please confirm you can hear me.
Yes, I can. Thank you.
I had two questions, and the previous speaker just stole my turn on the first one, because taking a loan at a low interest rate to buy property in Nigeria, and when it's time to repatriate and you see the exchange rate just crashes everything, is really, really painful. I know many that have gone under. So my next question is going to be, Carlo, you and Debo. Most of our conversation has been around investing in highbrow areas, the Lekis, the Kois, the VIs, and that axis. Now we know that property in those places are very expensive. So I want to look outside of Lagos and Central Abuja, for example. Many of us in our localities, what we have there are what I call emotional investments. But if one is to go and invest in real estate in places that are not so urban, in the current Nigeria scenario, is that going to be profitable?
So to be clear, are you saying give me a town? Are you saying maybe invest in, say, Jos or Nasarawa? Is that where are you going to with this? Can you have a town in mind?
Let me use Jos for an example. Mainland Jos too, the highbrow areas of Jos, now it's also being priced out of. I'm looking from the perspective of someone who's not really balling in mega box like that, but who wants to start somewhere. So the outskirts of the GRA, in a place like Jos now, if you put in a building or a group of buildings, other than selling for sales, the rent, is it long-term profitable, 20, 30 years?
Depo, that's your, yeah.
That's the short answer. No.
Thank you. So how can it now be, how can we now defeat this obvious, are there any tips to be able to defeat this obvious challenge of it not being profitable, but yet it's an emerging market? You know it's going to blow in a few years' time. We don't know how soon. So that we are not caught in the lurch of we didn't invest when it was still a very going land.
Exactly. So what you just know is that you are playing the growth game, you are playing the speculative game. That's all you know you are playing. You're not the best. You're breaking out. Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
So what you do with properties like that is you speculate on them. You are not investing. You speculate. So you know you are playing a speculative game. That's all you do. You're not expecting any return until when you cash out. You get your appreciation and principal back.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? You discount the rent that you are going to be getting. Government bond is not really worth it, but then, so on that end, you know you are losing. You are speculating majorly because of the
maybe I will type this because I'm struggling to hear you.
So, Shady, I can hear him pretty well. He's saying you are speculating. The scenario you have painted is more of a speculative adventure. That's what he's getting at.
But most successful businesses today were from speculations and they hit the gold mine.
Or they lost.
Okay, that's another way to look at it.
Yeah, they lost. So, I mean, again, it goes back to this patient capital thing. You know, you started by saying you were borrowing. If I had $10,000 and I didn't have to pay interest on it and I didn't have to invest it, oh my God, I'll come to Nigeria, Buy 5 plots and wait. Buy 5 plots, $2,500 in Nigeria is a lot of money. Buy 5 off commercial, off the beat places and wait. That's the point he's making. If you wait, those things blow up, you are in money. But if you can wait and the thing will become nothing. So it's speculation. You're not going to take that money and say, in 2-3 years, I want to go back and pay off my bank in the US. It's not going to work for you that way.
Thank you.
All right,
so remember the securities around real estate, particularly landed properties in Nigeria, they are not as secured as we think. The threats are from everywhere.
There are many ways to invest in real estate. When we started off, we talked about investing in the paper itself. Like I said, the fourth highest paying dividend or paper in Nigeria is the real estate investment trust. I think I started off with that. So real estate is a very, very wide opportunity. You can invest in the actual building, you can invest in the paper, you can invest in the REITs, the mortgage-backed securities. There are many ways to get exposure to that asset class. So don't look at it as just, if you live abroad, I would say if you're not going to come back to Nigeria, why buy the property? You can't inspect it, you can't fix the toilets and all that. Buy the trusts that then invest in that property and then you make your 8% return. Okay, that's enough for you. It's 8%, right? That's what you're going to take home with. That's your yield. You don't have to buy the property to make the 8%. If you're not going to be there, then you want to be careful about that. That's my take on that. All right, Shedi. Let's get Bade. Then after Bade, we'll get. Oh, jeez, he's dropped off. Bade and then Ola. Bade, you've got the floor, sir.
Yeah. Good evening, everybody. Good evening, Kalu. Thanks for bringing me up. Am I audible, please?
Yes, you are.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Mr. Adebo. I agree too. Yeah. From the previous speaker before this last person, Mr. Adebo actually answered the question. I practice real estate in Nigeria, and as well, I work with a commercial bank as well. So from actually what he said about someone pulling his funds from abroad, now, when we are having these trying times, I have testimonies from my customers abroad because I actually targeted the US markets. I have a lot of customers that are invested in real estate properties from the United States. I've advised them for now to hold on because from their return, it's actually nothing based on what the previous speaker said. But something actually worked out. So 2022 October. If you are to look at developing area, not developed area. Developed area is expensive. But if you are to look at developing area, actually sold like 17 plots at Eleco 2021. And I made a sales of 8 tax of land abatement. I sold Ekpe at 500. Ekpe is 8 million, 12, 21 million presently. So this year, February, when one of my customers is actually not concerned about the rates, he bought 3 plots of land at Ibeju for 6.5 2022, and he sold it at 5 million because he's scared. And I told him to hold on. I understand what the rate is going at. Because when I changed the money for him, then I changed $10,000 for 6.8 or so. Then I have the figure. But
you have a question in this?
No. I'm just chipping into what he said. That if you are looking at investing in Nigeria from abroad, you consider the developing area, not developed area. That's what I want to just chip in.
Okay, that's a good point there. And why? Because you're able to make a faster ROI?
And developing area is always cheap. It's always cheap. And just cap it off for the next speaker. Mortgage. I said I work in the bank. Mortgage is not actually working in Nigeria. Because it takes the bank a whole lot of time to do their verification, their search and everything. Then before they complete the search, the property must have gone off market. It happens on several occasions. So if anybody have any option of going for mortgage, I will advise you raise the money, pay off, then push everything to your bank to put the bills. Then in chocolate Airbnb, will think if you don't have anything on it, if you don't have anything on Lekki Phase 1.
All right. I don't know if you dropped off. All right, buddy. I think that was a good point you made there. So let's get Ola and let's get Abu and he's been Abu Muna, Nicholas. Let's get Nicholas and then we'll get Ola. Thanks, Dave, for hanging out with me so long. Yeah. Good, Nicholas. Go ahead.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Nicholas from Delta State. I just want to chip in something because I've been listening for a while now, and I thank you, Sir Mr. Kalu and Sir Dabo. I thank you. Please, I want to say something like what this our brother said just now. If you are doing anything concerning real estate, to me, it's just a word of my own opinion concerning this issue of real estate. If you are doing anything in real estate, you should consider the area, the place, where you are putting your money. If it's land, if it's building, if it's a hotel, where you are putting that money, you consider it. What does these people need? What's fast selling there? Presently, as I'm talking to you now, one of the projects we're doing, like I work with Dillon Consultants in Lagos, and I'm in data right now working with Neros Builders Limited presently. And the whole thing is the area we're working on now, they are selling, that place is fast developing by 17% of the money you use in buying any land, like every month, or even if I can say like 2-3 weeks, if you buy a plot of land for 7 million, like now, by 2-3 weeks time, you get another buyer for 20-25 million. So my own opinion in this whole thing is you have to look at the areas you're buying from, and how is the area fast selling? How are they trading there? Are people coming to develop fast? Are people coming to get property there earlier before now? Are people still coming? You have to make those verifications before you put your money in any other property. Maybe your next investment when it comes to real estate. Thank you, sir.
All right, Debo, let me just really ask you this question before we sort of we're on the leeway now to conclude the space. Let's talk about titling. Okay. So let's talk about titling. You know, I'm a bit familiar with. Can you just maybe walk us through what are the best practices? It doesn't have to be Lagos per se, but what are the best practices for titling? I know Oxley had asked that question. What should we look out for? Do we have to have a lawyer if we want to buy land? Is CFO still supreme? What would you advise if I don't live in Nigeria? How do I do it? Just walk us through best practice for those listening on how to buy property in Nigeria.
Okay. Thank you, Brackets. So, hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah, Devo.
I can hear you.
Devo, please go ahead.
To talk about that, so when you want to buy property in Nigeria, especially if you are not in the country, I would say use professionals. Okay? Use professional agents, use professional legal person to do your due diligence and searches. Now, when it comes to buying properties, your initial finding must sort out two major things, regardless of the state of the title on the property, whether it's perfected or not. You must check Surveyor General of that state by going physically to the land to pick coordinates and charting it in a Surveyor General's office. A land surveyor can help you do this, a trusted land surveyor, to know what is the status of the land. Land in Nigeria usually exists in about 4 categories, okay? One particular category you should not touch with a long pole. The other 3 you can touch, but you have to understand the implications in terms of cost. So, a land can be free in terms of status, because by the law governing land use in Nigeria, it's 1978 Land Use Act, right? Every land in the urban area of a state is put in trust of the governor. And of the suburban, the rural area is put in trust of the chairman of the local government council. Okay? Lagos State, for example, does not have any rural area anymore. By declaration, every area in Lagos State is urban. So no local government chairman can sign any CO4 or title for you in Lagos. Abuja, there is still a fight between FCDA and DAMA. But some areas, but I think FCDA is almost taking over the whole of Abuja now, as it were. So, but the other states in Nigeria, I think they still have some places where local government chairman can still sign titles for you if it is rural area of the state. So you check with Surveyor General's office, okay, of the local government of the state, whoever is in charge of that area, to chart what is the status of that land. So it can either be free. Meaning of free is that government has not shown any interest in the land, okay? So it's free from any government encumbrance, from any known encumbrance, okay? Or it is acquired. When a land is acquired in Nigeria, I would advise that you don't touch it, except you have powers. If you understand what I mean, don't touch it. Acquisition are twofold. It's either general acquisition or specific acquisition. Or in some places they will say it's committed acquisition or non-committed. Okay? So check whether it's specific or general or committed, non-committed. I don't advise you touch it, except you are so clear that it is something you can get to be released. Okay? So that's the aspect you don't touch. Then the land could be that it is ratifiable. Ratifiable means that it's been committed, okay? But government has also issued a communique, maybe gazetted it to say that, you know what, we've used what we want to use, or we are no longer interested in using it like gazetted. So we are open to, ratifying for any private use. So that's the type of land you say you buy twice. You buy from the landowning family and then you buy from government. It just means that you would pay some reasonable amount and you go through some permission with government as well to be able to survey that land and to be able to do your title on it. Okay. Then the fourth one is when it is excised. Excised means that it's been formally acquired before, but now released back usually to the people it was acquired from, meaning you can trade it. So you say the gazette for the acquisition, you say the gazette for the release. Those are the 4 areas. Now, that is one aspect. You check the status. Then, with the same coordinate, you also go to the physical planning of that state and check the use you can put the land to. Most states in Nigeria now have what they call master plan. Every land, every inch of land in most states. I know of Lagos, Abuja, parts of Port Harcourt, Kaduna, Ogun State. These places have some master plan. Lagos is almost entirely master planned, totally. So you check in the physical office, what use can I put this land to? That use has to agree with the use you are planning to put it to. For example, if you are planning to do a residential construction development there, it must be that it's either available for mixed use or is specific for residential, then you can use it for that purpose. If they say it is an industry that should be there or it's recreation, you can't use it for your residential, except you are then able to do what they call change of use, which comes by way of advocacy and all through town planners and all through the physical office. You must find out before you take that risk if it is something that is possible and you can have the use changed, okay? The designated use changed to what we want to use it for. So those are the fundamentals. Then before you now start to do due diligence on the source that you are buying from, that you are legitimate owner, that is better done by professional agents, surveyors and valuers or agents, or a lawyer that knows his own needs, okay? You do due diligence, inspect the site, go back there, make findings, and then also do formal, what they call legal search, okay? To Lands Bureau of the state. They write whatever title is on the land, they write to verify it. If there is no title on the land, it is free.
and there is not the any chance you are dealing with customary landowners. You do your due diligence, you get their information. You have to be dealing with principal members of the family, the head of the family, and the secretary are very important. And you also incorporate as many people as possible in the family, both young and old, so that if a generation passes, you won't have problem with the younger generation as it were. But in all of this, it's good to have the knowledge of what is to be done. But the best thing will be use professionals. And when I say use professionals, the people I advise you to use are people who are subscribed to some code of ethics in their profession, such that you have a place you can report them should anything happen. So those are essence surveyors and valuers or agents that are registered properly with the most noticeable agency body in Nigeria is AEA, Association of Estate Agents of Nigeria. They are the Nigerian Association of Estate Surveyors and Valuers. And then lawyers and, of course, Nigerian Bar Association. You have to verify these people. If you are dealing with a town planner, the town planner, make sure it's registered. If you are dealing with a land surveyor, make sure they are registered. All of these people have their associations that are licensed by law. Okay, and you can report any wrongdoing by any professional and get remedy. Okay, so that is what I would advise and that's it. Now, CFOs, no. You can buy lands that doesn't even have any title yet, but you must just understand the risk you are getting into. You must find out whether the state is issuing title and how long it takes, how much it costs, and whether you are ready for that game. Or if you can't take that, you don't have the risk appetite, then you just go for land that has some title on it already, registrable title on it already. Maybe CFO, maybe even it has passed from the original CFO now to another position, maybe it's an assignment that is on it or whatever, and it's perfected. You can easily search for that in the Lands Bureau in terms of the status. I hope that is clear, but otherwise I can still shed more light.
No, I hear you. I mean, what I got from this was, number one, try to work with professionals. Number two, CFO is not sacrosanct. I heard you say search for the use of the land, if use has been voided or if use is still ongoing. But for me, if you live abroad, get a lawyer, get someone that knows what he is doing. In lots of places in Lagos, you buy from the family, then you have to go to the Lagos State Alausa to perfect your land. Same way in other states, you buy from family, you go and perfect in CFO. I would just say default to a professional. That way they know what they are doing, and I think it's sort of like Deb, I've had you here for nearly an hour, 30 minutes. Let's just get two questions from Ola and Hotel, and we'll call it a day if you don't mind. So Ola and Othel. Yeah, Ola, go for it, and I'll get Hotel.
Good evening, Carlo. How are you?
I'm doing very well, so thank you.
Cheers. Good evening, everyone. Mr. Debo, thanks for your time. I've been listening right from the inception. Quick question for you, sir, and it's regarding this title of the table. I want you to listen to my question very well, sir. In 2020, I acquired a land, and then we did a research of the land, and we were putting the survey and everything, and we got a red copy from the Office of the Survey General, Lagos State, and it says the land is free. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay, and they said the land is free. Before I go further, one quick one, yes or no? If a land is committed or a land is not free, can you still get a red copy of that land?
So there are complications. The person you are dealing with and what they are giving you may be backdated.
How do you mean, sir?
So, when the land is not free, it has a date for which it started not to be free. Somebody wants to be funny, can do a survey, backdate it before that date, slot it into the records, you know how that can happen in Nigeria, and they give you that document. If you use that to go and do your search, they will tell you also, because they also know the people there. And tell you that it's free, supposedly, but it's not free. So that's why, like we said, use professionals. These coordinates can be picked, and there are places where they can check the
status of the land currently. Not even say backdated survey. It allows the red flag in some cases.
All right, back to what I was saying. Thanks for that. So when this land was purchased, I guess a surveyor to do the check for me, and he said it was free. And then we did the survey, and then the red copy was out, and he said it was free. This was during COVID 2020. Now, fast forward to 4 years, the coastal road, this coastal road is to came up just this year, March, I think. And they came to the community. The community is got its own COO as well. Now they came to the community and they start marking properties that have to go for this road. Fortunately for me, my property wasn't marked, and the whole thing is just going to go pass through and all of that. And then I wanted to go in for my approval and then some other governor consent because it's got COO and all that. And then we went back. I made a mistake on my survey. So we went back to rectify the names on my survey because I made a mistake. Only for us to go back and then now get the copy back, the red copy back, and now they said the land falls within Lekki acquisition. So the question we put to them was, sorry sir, the question we put to them was 4 years
ago. Ola, let me say this right. Take the boss DM or something. I know yes, I'm learning from your questions, and I think the boss made a clarification on that first question. But now when you go too deep, it's so I want you to take the boss information. If you don't have it, DM me. I'll make sure I contribute there. But I think I learned from the first one. I think you have a very, very interesting case. You want to follow up with a lawyer or with Debo or a professional, right? I don't want to cut you off. I think your concerns are genuine, but I want you to take it up with Debo after this.
Okay.
Unless you have a specific question. I mean, the first question you asked, and that was very general. I think we learned from it. But this is now more peculiar to you. I want you to do a follow up with him after this, yeah? If you can't hit Debo, DM me. I'll make sure I get across to him. All right, and then let's get Otel. Otel's going to be last, and then we'll just go. I kept the man here. I don't know if he has to go do something. Otel, you got the floor. Last guy. Go ahead.
All right, thank you very much for this platform. My question is around. I think what holds a lot of people back is just how opaque land acquisition is in Nigeria, and there is no straightforward way to go about it. I mean, if there's anything that kind of speaks to that opacity, it's just the story from Ola here where he did the right thing and all of that. And it seems like the whole system just kind of works in a way where you need to know certain people, which most people don't know because it's not their daily job. It's not like there is a clear guidance somewhere that is open for someone to kind of just check. These are the checklist of what you need to do in order to acquire land in Nigeria. And I can't even want to ask the question how does someone who just wants to do the right thing go about doing it? What's the I don't even want to say what's the easiest way, but yeah, that the fact that everything just seems so murky, everything just seems so kind of shaded, and if you want to do the right thing, it makes it incredibly hard. Here in Abuja, where I reside, things are a bit better because here you have FCPA. If your land has maybe RFO or something, it's easy for you to verify. I mean, there's still some level of shadiness going on, but it's much easier. But down the state, a lot of these things are just the institutions and the structures are just not there. And in such a situation, what is the hope that you're going to buy this land, and at the end of the day, the land doesn't just get grabbed from you? Sometimes by people who are manning the institutions that are supposed to protect your rights to property.
So I mean, if I hear you right, you're asking about how to do the right thing. I think, is that what your question?
How can one even have clarity? Because there is no clarity when it comes to land ownership in Nigeria. There is no it's just not easy. If I buy a car today and I want to get the car registered, I mean, there are clear guidelines on how I go. Same thing for a company, right? Land ownership is not like that in Nigeria. Like, how do you go about doing the right thing? Especially in places like Lagos, for example, like what's the right best way? My rule of thumb generally is try to buy properties that are mortgage, right? Because then the banks have done all the verification for you, and even if you're not going to take the mortgage, you can be rest assured that nobody wants to lose money, right? And so yeah, but for a lot of people who maybe they just want to buy land, like what's the best way? What's the rule of thumb to say? I know he gave some things that you have to talk to some professionals, but some of these things, like for me, for example, I don't even. I listened to what he said, but immediately it just kind of just slipped my mind. I wasn't writing it down, but what are those things that one can do? Are they like easy steps that one can take to just know that okay, if you align like this, right, you can't get it wrong.
All right, Debo, maybe, I don't know. I would say one or two bullet points would help here because, like, again, the point he's making, and which we all agree with, land in Nigeria is state specific. If you go to Lagos or Abuja, it's easier. Many states it's very murky. There are no laid out guidelines. I think Nigeria used to track the ease of acquiring property. It used to be something that we used to track in Nigeria. We stopped in 2018 when the World Bank stopped it. But back then you could see states that were doing very, very well in the ease of doing registering title, and states that were not doing very, very well. But overall, I think like one or two bullet points that you must do before you even go ahead. What are the one or two clear bullet points for us?
Okay, thank you very much. And I understand what he's saying perfectly. But unfortunately, I think we've shared what you have to do. Use professionals. That's the truth, really. Across states, across places, use professionals. However, I will say one other thing. The other thing is that because of the way Nigeria works, like you mentioned, I alluded to, I advise people that when you want to do anything in real estate, I've mentioned it. These are the three, let's put it as three ministries or arms of government that you have to touch base with. One, the Lands Bureau. Each state has one. The Surveyor General's office. Each state has one. The Ministry of Physical Planning. Each state has one. Now, locate middle-level managers in those places. Get them into a conversation. If possible, engage them. Especially if they have, all of them, okay, this is off record, all of them more or less have some PP they operate that is registered, okay, with their professional friends or themselves at the back of it. Once they are professionals, deal with them without their PP to do or to achieve what you want to achieve, okay? That way, it will be a lot easier for you to achieve whatever you want to achieve. I said middle level because the high-end guys, commissioner, PS, all of those will cost you a arm and a leg, and it's just cost for nothing because they are not really going to want to do the job. Still, these middle level guys are doing the job. Then the low-end guys, they will be cheap, but then your job may never get done because they have to beg somebody before the job is done. But it is these middle guys that does the job for the high-end guys, and they are also the ones that will help the low-end guys, so the low-end guys can, their beck and call, okay? And so they can get their way at an affordable or at least something more reasonable rate. That's how I would advise that you operate, right? A number of these ministries have information materials. It's just that, they are not well circulated. Get hold of them. Their website may not be updated, and I might say check their website. But if you go to the ministries, get their information materials, read them, connect with somebody there, do your due diligence, work with a professional outside or inside, or you get your own professional outside and you're asking to get somebody inside to work with. When you locate an insider, it's a lot easier for you to achieve what you want to achieve. That is what I would summarize. That's how I would end in terms of what you should do. And I hope that can help somebody.
I think it does. I think it does a lot. But so then, let's just round up by just this short and take. So, if I was a Nigerian today, or not a Nigerian, would you? And I'm putting you on the spot here. Would you recommend, if I had funds, should I actually, back to this question, should I actually go and invest in property? Do you think there's a future for that, owning property with all the cost of doing business? Do you still think it's an investment I should do, or should I just go to fixed deposit and put money there? What's your final?
It's an investment you should do.
It's an investment.
See, all of this difficulty is also what has to the rate at which it can appreciate. Yes, it's an investment one should do. Real estate should be in anybody's portfolio once you can afford it. And I like the fact that you talked about the REIT stuff. I mean, if you look at the analysis in the Nigerian capital market, REITs is the highest, whatever, from the private market, I believe.
Yeah, it's the highest. It's the highest. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I tell people, at least you can start from that point. You don't have a lot of money, even ambition to go and get one land somewhere. But you can buy into a REIT or a pseudo REIT, stuff like that. But just do your due diligence. But it's something, real estate is something that you should get into. No doubt about that. Absolutely.
Yeah. And last question, I got a DM. I didn't just ask that question to you. So one is talking about why can't we tokenize this fundraising for a property? It says he went to a place and he saw that people would get a house and then would sell, like a REIT, you sell the tokens. And when you buy that token, you own the home. You can then fund your home and all that. He's asking, why is that not so widespread in a country like Nigeria where we have high cost of capital? Have you seen that? Is it something you think can work?
Yeah, it is there, but the word is not widespread. Well, I don't think we should even talk about being, it's not even spread at all, not even wide. So, but it's there somehow. So Nigerian SEC just came up with a regulation to approve crowdfunding about 2 years ago, and even at that, what they came up with is abysmal in terms of the amount, and it really can't help the market. But there are a lot of private tokenization and securitization that is also happening. Outside of SEC, as it were, and some of them are very well organized and run, so they can explore. But that's the next line. People are exploring how to go to the market now, raise REITs, and stuff like that. I believe that is an opportunity for people who know about finance and structuring financing and funding and raising money and all of these tech-backed methodologies that we can then use and fly on. But yeah,
it's something that's out there that we can take advantage of because we have all the fintechs, we have all the. I mean, I just feel it's something that is easily pluggable. If you have we have something called Prop Crowdy. They allow you to raise funds.
I wanted to mention Prop Crowdy by Ibinova. That's on. But my talks with him revealed that they are struggling in the terms of market acceptance. Because again, you see, Nigeria has a very challenging problem. For a prop crowd now, because of the rental rates, when they compare the yield to other options, people would rather go for other options. Once you do any real estate structure and appreciation is not part of what you are going to pay out at the end of the day, it's going to be difficult for you to compete with even money market sometimes. Not to talk about the market. So, but Prop County is there, and they are surviving. I know they are trying to work with Nigerian Developers Association of Nigeria right now, because I'm involved in some talk on that line. And that's the only, I think there are just about 2, if not the only licensed, SEC licensed crowdfunding is available.
And if that was able to take off the ground, that would make a big impact. But what we're saying for those that are following is that you would allow if you had a property, you could go to Prop Crowdy and say, I want to get investors. and investors can subscribe really quick and directly to your quote-unquote tokens, which you then use to fund your property. That would be kind of a game changer for that mid-market, 0 to maybe 25 million naira offer. Would it really help, wouldn't it?
Yeah, efforts are on, and I believe that we'll hit a breakthrough somewhere down the line.
Okay.
So it's on.
All right, perfect way to sign out. Debo, I can't thank you enough. I mean, we're just having a conversation about real estate. Is this something we should buy? You've given us a lot of insights into locations, into process, and all. And the good questions have come through. Where for Airbnb, questions on titling. I know also that asked about how to get this titling done. It's a very murky thing, but I think you've cleared it up for us a bit, and we are grateful for that. So thanks, guys, for hanging in here, for learning with us. We're here every week, every Sunday, 7 p.m. West African time. We talk about investing, personal finance, and, of course, the economy. So it's perfect to bring in different asset classes. We'll try to bring someone else again next week. Debo, thank you so much. I wish you guys the very best on your 20th anniversary. Keep going, keep rising. Yeah.
Thank you so much. My pleasure. Thank you.
All right.
Carlo.
Yes, sir?
Please, before you leave, I tried to message Mr. Debo now. It's not going through. His DM is not going through. He didn't allow Mr. Debo to answer my question.
Debo, please answer his question. No, please answer his question, Debo. I apologize. Ola, I'm just saying, go ahead, Ola.
Please, I was saying that now he said that land falls within Lekki acquisition because of the coastal road, but my property is not marked. And I went back to ask them. They said the reason why that is being so is because of the coastal road that is going through that assets. They don't know which property is going to be marked or all that. So for now, Lagos State is just trying to cover themselves. So because of that, I can't do anything on my property. I just have to abandon it, and I've spent so much money on that property.
Yeah. Sorry. Is Tayo right?
Ola.
I can identify with you, and I understand what you're saying very well. And they just told you the reason. So you see, governance in this part of the world is very. I don't want to use the word I want to use, but you see, they rule us as it were. You can imagine the excuse they gave you. They don't know where the land will go here, so they just want to play safe, and then they are holding your own investment in limbo. So you can imagine. And that's exactly just what is happening.
Unfortunately, you know this corridor very well, Mr. Debo. You know the corridor.
Very well. And I know that they've marked. They've also moved again. So they are not sure. So it's unfortunate. I suspect that under normal condition, your property is not under any acquisition. But because they now don't know how they will end up, the government is using this power to just, hold anything around that area that wants approval right now until they decide or they are able to have a clear head as to what they want to do. You can imagine that. And they won't take that decision in good time. Unfortunately, they will just take their time as if they have all the time in the world. But that's what is happening. But I believe you are using somebody, a town planning office, so they can always help you get information as to what is happening.
Because I'm not in the country, so I'm just hoping anytime I come into the country, I'll go in myself and find out what is happening as well.
All right, guys.
Okay, yeah, but also have your ears to the ground. Have somebody internal that can also help you in terms of the network before you.
All right. Excellent. Well, I hope that you're welcome. We just want to make sure that you get sorted. That's fantastic. So, guys, thanks so much for joining in. I appreciate everyone that has been here. We'll meet again next week. Get another topic, debate it, learn, and become better investors. On that note, guys. You guys have a good one. Take care of yourselves and be nice. It's going to be a great week. Go out and make it. There's lots of noise about the Dangote pricing. It's come out now. We're going to buy in diesel and all that. So how the queues vanish. It's just amazing in Nigeria. Nigeria is an amazing place where we're boycotting the lower priced supplier. I don't understand it. All right, guys, have a good one. Deboy, again, thank you so much. You guys have a good one. Bye.
You're welcome. My pleasure. Take care.